Hello and welcome back to the Eyes of O Gaming channel for another game review. Today we've got some platforming sci-fi indie gaming to look at. So what game are we looking at today? Well, this one is called Planet Alpha and it released in 2018. It was developed by Planet Alpha APS and published by Team 17. I looked up the developer and I don't see any other games by them. Based on the name, it seems like they just established to develop this one game. Though I could definitely be mistaken, and feel free to throw in the comments if you find any other games by them. But what exactly is Planet Alpha? Has it held up over the years since its release? Let's take a look at those things together to determine if it's still worth it for the first time player to pick up now. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. The game essentially just follows you as the player having an adventure on an alien planet. And that's about it that I can go into for plot on this one. There's really no backstory I can give you. There isn't dialogue throughout the game to explain the story, and it's more just a game where you go in, experience what's there, and its open-endedness will let you craft your own headcanon story as you go. As I played through this one, I was reminded of games like Inside or Limbo. It's a modern side-scroller, so obviously it's going to have similarities with other modern side-scrollers. This one does seem a little bit more abstract than those titles though. These games all tend to just drop you into it, but in this one it doesn't really have that same kind of storytelling that you get in the other games. There is some environmental storytelling, especially when you get to the end, but don't expect the same level as the others that I mentioned. You're also going to have some similar puzzle solving, but the puzzles are really quite simple, and many times what needs to be solved to move forward is more about timing rather than manipulating the things in the environment. If you wanted to look at some other side-scrollers that use timing instead of manipulation of physical objects to progress through puzzles, you could take a look at the Assassin's Creed Chronicles games, as those ones were also quite reliant on timing movements around enemies. I have covered both the Inside game as well as the Assassin's Creed Chronicles games on the channel if you're not familiar and want to check out those other titles to see what I mean. Mechanically, this game is extremely simple. As I mentioned, it's a side-scrolling platformer game. You're going to have some puzzle solving throughout, which typically takes on the form of hiding from enemies and timing your movements correctly. Puzzles can also involve moving some objects though, often with the goal of creating some kind of chain reaction in the environment that you can then take advantage of in order to move forward. And this brings me to the next point, moving forward. That's pretty much all you need to know in terms of gameplay, is that you're moving forward, or to the right since it's a side-scroller. I've heard this game described as a move right simulator, and really in terms of gameplay, that is fairly accurate. This title is a lot less about mechanics and core gameplay, and instead focuses much more heavily on the player experience and the world that they have been placed in. You're going to notice a lot of variety of environments in this one. The colors are quite vibrant and environments really pop as you play through. That said, things are kept pretty simple, but detailed enough that you can follow what is going on easily. One thing that I personally didn't like, and I'm sure it's done on purpose for gameplay, is that the foreground is used to obscure the view in certain locations. So I'm pretty sure this was done intentionally to add a level of difficulty to the game. I just wanted to comment on it because it's used a lot in the game, and I personally really don't like this kind of thing, but that's going to be totally dependent on the player. I wouldn't say there's a ton of extra features or things that make this one stand out. Ironically, probably the most standout thing is the simplicity of it. Typically when you're playing a platformer game like this, there's going to be something there that the devs have used to make it stand out from the others, like some gameplay mechanic or some unique way to solve puzzles. In this one, the mechanics and gameplay are so simple that there isn't really a way to implement that kind of thing. So it seems like the standout feature seems to be the complete non-existence of standout features. In terms of bugs, I did experience a few. I had a couple crashes and weirdness with the physics, but overall the performance was okay. I also didn't run into anything game-breaking or anything that prevented me from completing the game. Sound effects are relied on quite heavily in this one. There's no dialogue or narration to tell the story, and instead everything is told in the experience as you go, by the environment and how you interact with it. Therefore, the need for environmental effects to help progress the story and get you immersed is really quite high. Personally, I thought they were done well, and I really enjoyed the ambient music, but instead of taking my word for it, I'll play some examples here so you can make up your own mind on it. So now with the general look at the game done, let's get into opinions and subjective territory. I'm going to keep this short, but I just want to mention a couple things. If you've seen some of the other reviews on the channel, you know the deal. But for new people, don't expect a number rating or something like that because I don't believe in them. The point is to show you the game and let you decide for yourself. Not everyone is going to enjoy every game, and your experience will be subjective and personal. That said, now that I've gone over the game in general, I'm just going to talk about it a bit and my own experience for those interested. Just keep in mind that whether I enjoyed the game or not, it doesn't mean that you will or won't. You should make up your decision on whether to give it a try based on the breakdown done in the first part of the review. So did I enjoy Planet Alpha?
I don't like it.
Not really too much. It's not a bad game for what it is, it's just that there isn't much game there. I think that the online critique that I've read of it being a hold-right simulator is really quite justified. I've played some other modern platformer indie games, and they just brought a lot more to the table than this one does. There's essentially no definitive story other than what you can try to piece together for yourself in the environment, and instead the game just relies on you to enjoy the experience of this unique world. For me personally, that was fun for maybe an hour, probably less, but after the novelty of it wore off, you're left with just moving through this strange collection of colors and shapes that are vaguely familiar, but that's about it. I can see this one appealing to a very casual gamer, or someone who just lacks the experience or skills in gaming, or maybe if you just don't have the time to put into a game, but you still want to play through something. This one is extremely simple, and there aren't controls you need to remember how to use. The good thing in that regard is if you're someone with a lot of responsibilities and you're going to need to take breaks and put the game down for long periods of time, when you come back to it later, it's not going to be a struggle to figure out what does what, as it's basically just move and jump. All that said though, it's unlikely you're going to need to do this because the game is also very short. Overall, this isn't something that I would come back to and play again. And although the environments are unique and interesting, it just didn't offer enough actual gameplay to keep me interested in it. I would recommend this for a casual gamer who's looking for something that's really simple to play and doesn't care that this one lacks the deep or compelling story, but instead just wants a unique, well-crafted environment so that they can walk through and enjoy the scenery. I hope you enjoyed this look at Planet Alpha. Have you already played through this one? Let me know down in the comments what you thought and if you agree or disagree with my own opinion. If the video was helpful or entertaining, please give me a like here, as it really helps me out a lot, and consider subscribing to the channel. I post a bunch of different gaming content, not just reviews, but also walkthroughs and other videos, and would love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.